Sales as we know it is dead. At least the pushy, slimy, used car salesman type of approach. And you know the guy who calls you at 7:30 p.m. right when you've just taken the first bite of your delicious favorite pizza, just trying to sell your water filter, frozen steaks from Argentina, or the limited edition wine that you don't even want or need. And all of that while stealing your precious time from you and your family. Now, if you're at the other side of things and you're curious about how to close the next deal for your product, service, or coaching, or you're starting out as a nomadic closer and you want to improve your closing rate, we got you covered with this one. So watch this video all the way till the end so that you'll discover how it's possible to ethically sell anything to anyone at any time. But before we dive into that, you need to understand one thing. You and your product are not as unique as you think.
First thing you have to understand is you are not unique as you think. Even though you might have a different product than other people, if your buyer is a human being, you'll realize that the psychological drivers we have behind our behavior are really universal, and that applies to selling as well. So then the question is really like, how do you position yourself in order to sell anything to anyone and as quickly as possible? And it's not really about selling ice to Eskimos, as they say. It's about offering solutions to real problems. And in that case, an Eskimo might be more interested in buying like fishing equipment, for example.
And this is really where the difference comes into play between just someone who's selling and working maybe for a store where they sell electronic goods, or someone who's closing high value products and services like in the nomadic closing process that we teach here on this channel. And the key difference here is that everything that is maybe like this pen or something, people always say, sell me this pen, but why should I sell it to you if you don't even need that? So when it comes to all this high-end selling and high-end closing, like nomadic closing, we focus only on people who are actually closable, right? So we don't want to talk to just anyone. And I think it's highly unethical to close any conversation that you have, right? So what we do is we only focus on people who we actually truly believe that we can help them, right? And when it comes to the nomadic closing in general, the process is pretty straightforward. Most of the time you have someone like a coach or a consultant, or some people call those influencers. So what you do is you partner up with that coach or consultant, and then the coach or consultant is providing you with hot, qualified, and warm leads that you can talk to. These are people who maybe watched their YouTube videos or maybe their Instagram videos or engaged with some sort of an ad, watched a webinar or so. So they already showed that they are interested in what they're offering. And then you as a closer, you hop on a call with those people and then you close them for a commission. And this is the basic thing that you need to understand. In order to be able to close anyone at any time, anywhere, you need to have some sort of a process in place like this. And then you only find out if this person is actually a great fit. And the mindset is completely flipped here. You don't have to think about, oh, how can I sell as many people as possible? No, you're more like, is this person actually a good fit for what we do have? And that changes everything.
And sometimes even if people want to give you money, you should not really take it, because it's more about the right fit than making a quick buck here. For example, if somebody has a really strong pain, example, they need to fix a problem within like a very short time period, and they're ready in the market and want to give you money for that, but you know, like the solution just takes longer than what is their deadline that they have. And so like you realistically know already by like, even if they want to give you money, that you cannot fulfill on the promise and not make it happen that fast. So why would you take the money? Because it's doomed to fail already from the beginning. And this is what we mean here with this concept.
So the real question is not how can you sell anything to anyone, but how can you close anyone who's closable? And for that, we have a two-step process. That's what we call our two-step closing sequence. So we have basically, when we're talking to people, we have one call that we call the discovery call, for example, and we have one that is like a closing call where we collect the payment, right? And these are two separate things. So the goal of the discovery call is first to get to know the person. We want to actually find out if this person is qualified to receive an offer. And from there, on the second call, we can then dive a little bit deeper and save ourselves tons of time, not only our time, but also the time of the prospect. And that's very important, because the time is the only thing that you can never get back in your whole life, right? If it's gone, it's gone. So we have a 15-minute call first. And then after that, once we find out that the prospect does have the funds, does have the time, is motivated to do that, ready for a change, only then we transition into a second meeting where we then take maybe like an hour or so to really discuss the problems, the challenges that they're currently experiencing and how we can overcome this so so that they can have the dream outcome that they do want to have, that we can then enroll them in the program that maybe helps them achieve their fitness goals, their financial goals, or whatever they need, right? And this is the most ethical way to sell, because you're not forcing someone to do it, but you're rather allowing them to go on the journey with you to find out if this is something that they truly want and need. And then, only then, if you feel like you can 100% help them, only then you make an offer. And with this two-step process, you have the highest likelihood of achieving that.
So not only you're leaving all those slimy, sleazy sales tactics behind, you're actually adding in like the most important process into the whole closing and sales pipeline. Essentially this whole pre-qualification process. And there are people that are just closing deals, and there are people that just do this pre-qualification, and there are some people that do both together. And even though it's not closing the deal at this point, this is the most important role in the whole business, because whoever takes over this process is determining who is gonna get pitched, who is gonna receive a possible solution, and who is gonna be disqualified in terms of maybe it's not the right time, maybe it's not a good fit for the solution, maybe the timeline is too short. Essentially all the person you do not want to pitch to and you do not want to close a deal with.
And it's also important to mention that when you do utilize this two-step process, that you focus on something that is called pre-selling, and this actually increases your closing rate. So like the famous author Robert Cialdini said in his book, pre-selling is everything. You can sell before you start even selling. So they come into the second call already a little bit pre-sold, and they're like 90% there, but then in the second call it's just you knock them over the edge, right? And that way you don't have to sit on calls for 2 or 3 hours or have multiple follow-ups or things like that, because you already did the work up front. And this is a beautiful part.
And then the second call or the closing call is only about speaking to qualified people that are a good fit or potential good fit for this solution. And the whole process set up this way is going to save you so much time, especially when people like reschedule, or for some reason this still happens, like one or the other might will not show up to the call, and you just have like this big gap in your calendar where you don't know what to do. So we reduce that loss of time if you want so, and also realistically raise your closing rate to 50% or even more, like 60, 70, 80%, depending on how good you are and how skilled you are with the whole thing.
And the funny thing about this is most people, when they start in high-end sales or in closing or so, they typically have like a rate of 7% of all the people that they talk to. But if you implement this process, it's insane what happens, because you're just talking to people that are qualified, you will raise your closing rate. It's gonna go up from 7 to 20 to 25, like almost instantly once you do implement this in your business. And then you can work it up, like Manu said, to 50, 70, or even more. And this is quite common. So if you implement this in your business, it will change everything. Now, if you want to know about what specific kind of questions you have to ask to make the sale happen, you can join our free 1-hour masterclass right now. The link is in the video description. And we're also showing you the best business models so that you can close high value deals very fast and easy.